Welcome to Binge Watchers, where we talk about the stories and characters we love and the shows they live in. My name is Ron, and let's talk about Season 1 of the Amazon original, Upload. So it looks like Greg Daniels, who worked on The Office, is really enjoying this age of streaming, as The Office, as you probably know, is one of the most streamed shows ever, and he just made shows for both Netflix and Prime Video. His Netflix show, Space Force, comes out later this month as I'm making this video, and I'm super excited about that one. And his Prime Video show, Upload, is already available, so let's talk about it. It was fine. It's pretty good. I do love The Office and Parks and Rec as much as almost everybody else, so I was pretty much ready to just love this show no matter what and love everything about it before I even watched it. And throughout the first couple of episodes, I really did. Maybe because, I was so ready to love it, or maybe it was because I loved the premise more than I did the rest of the story. Upload takes place in a not-so-distant future where businesses have figured out a way to upload human consciousness into a digital media, and they use that in order to create a digital afterlife. So essentially, right before you die, your consciousness is uploaded to the heaven of your choice, if you can pay for it, and there you can continue to live in a virtual wonderland. And this is, of course, an amazingly interesting premise because it pretty much alters the way that people look at and think about death. And of course, it also mocks the heights that the commercialization of everything can get to, which is really something that a lot of stories do in their own way. For example, The Boys did it with superheroes, and Upload does it with death. The rest of the jokes about how all major corporations are controlling everything, it's funny, it's just probably an observation that you've seen before many, many times. The story itself revolves around this guy named Nathan who gets in a car crash and then gets uploaded to Lakeview, one of the most prestigious digital heavens. In Lakeview, each one of the guests gets their own customer service representative, and for Nathan, that's Nora, our other main character. And from there, the story follows both of their lives and the problems that they have to deal with, and also them sort of trying to piece together what actually happened to Nathan. So, I had a lot of fun with this show. I thought it was good, but it did feel more generic than I hoped. The premise is incredible. I love the world building in this show. The whole concept of a virtual heaven and the uploads, that's awesome. And they really explore that idea quite a bit in both funny and thoughtful ways. And that was definitely my favorite part of the show. And I thought the show was pretty funny and it's a pretty quick watch. So, thumbs up from that perspective. If you do compare it to other stuff Greg Daniels has worked on over the years, like The Office and Parks and Rec, it's definitely a departure from those, which generally I think is a good thing because you don't want a very successful creator just doing the same thing over and over again. And even though The Office and Parks and Rec are very different from one another, they do have a similar brand of humor that I didn't really find in Upload. Upload is more of a single narrative, more of a story, and it felt like that story was very generic, especially the love story in the middle of it all. To me, it felt very much like every boy meets girl, but boy can't really be with girl type of story that I've ever seen, just in a different setting. And that part, even though I liked the characters, was boring because of that. And when I got bored with the show, I found myself focusing more on the world and the technology, and then you start noticing all these little inconsistencies with how they use the VR stuff, for example, or things that don't really make sense within the logic framework of the story. And it's the kind of nitpicky stuff that really doesn't matter in a story like this. It's not like this is some heavy, sci-fi drama, but because I didn't find the main story all that interesting, those were the things that I found myself focusing on. Now, don't get me wrong, I still enjoyed the show. It didn't really make me laugh a whole lot, but it did make me smile all the time. Lots of feel-good moments, lots of interesting little observations, lots of character moments where the character smiles and it kind of makes you smile because you know what's behind that. And of course, the premise and the whole world around that premise is great. So if they say that every story stands on the foundation of setting, character, and plot, I love the setting. I thought the characters were fun and some were interesting, and I just didn't really care about the plot. I do have to point out that this is only season 1, and while I don't see this show going in the way of something like The Office, just because it's a very different type of show, it did take me more than one season to fall in love with both Parks and Rec and The Office. It's actually not a great comparison to make. Honestly, I'm just making it because they share a creator. Bottom line, should you watch it? Well, if you're looking for a quick, dramatic comedy to get through, this is a great choice. It has an interesting premise and lots of great little moments, all wrapped around a fairly generic story, if I'm being perfectly honest. The characters themselves are interesting and fun for the most part, so that kind of makes up for some of the story. For me, I loved the show at the beginning, and then as the show went on, I just got a little bored with it. But still, overall, I enjoyed it. I don't regret watching it or anything. I just can't say that this is one of those shows that captured my imagination completely. I feel like Space Force is really going to be more up my alley just based on the trailer, so I guess we'll see how well that statement ages. But Upload is still a solid show, and there's definitely some fun to be had here. These are actually the types of reviews that are always the hardest for me to make. The ones where I'm talking about a show that I didn't love and I didn't hate, I just thought it was kind of fine. It's much easier to talk about a show or any type of story really if you're super passionate in either direction, and that this show just didn't get that out of me. But I am interested to learn what you thought about this show because I know a lot of people really, really loved it. So let me know in the comments down below. Have you watched this show? What were your thoughts about it? What did you think about the whole premise? Did it feel new to you, or do you feel that this is something that you've seen done before, better or worse? If you're going to be talking about spoilers, please use spoiler tags in your comments. And if you're finding Binge Watchers for the first time, welcome. I'd like to invite you to join the Binge Watchers community. Come talk about TV with us. It's a lot of fun. You can subscribe to the channel or join the Discord or, do whatever makes you feel good. But in any case, keep binging. And I will see you next time.